Governor, thank you so much for that introduction. And you know, it's kind of funny for me to stand up here and to hear Governor Terry Branstad say that I was the inspiration for him to run for governor. Because I can tell you that in 2010, when we got that phone call in New Jersey from Governor Branstad's campaign asking if I would come and campaign for him, near the end of the campaign, I said to my staff, I was like, Terry Branstad knows who I am? And this is a legend. This is a guy who has set the example for governors all across the country of both parties. And not just because he initially served 4 terms and did an extraordinary job, but to me, the thing that makes his public service so extraordinary is the example he has set for the last 4 years. Because 4 years ago, when he was in a very good job, that he was doing a great job at, and getting to spend even more time with his family, he saw what awful shape Iowa was in. He saw what the last administration was doing to Iowa, to Iowa's economy, to Iowa's education system, and to the pride that Iowa rightfully feels about itself. It was diminishing because of the awful policies that were being put in place in the state capital. And when he could have just as easily said, no thank you, I've served 4 terms as governor of Iowa, I've done my service. Instead, he did what real selfless public service is all about. He put the people of Iowa and the state that he loves ahead of his own personal interests. And that's the greatest inspiration you give to anybody who offers themselves up for public office, is that it's not about you. It's about the people that you serve. And so, I know the people in this room understand this. But he's not just an inspiration to fellow Iowans. He's an inspiration to leaders all across this country. He has been a great governor, and he will continue to be a great governor, because you all are going to return to office on November 4th, aren't you? And I have a lieutenant governor named Kim, too. My lieutenant governor is Kim Reynolds. Today she is the acting governor since I'm here in Iowa. But Kim Reynolds is somebody that I got to meet 4 years ago, and she is an extraordinary leader and partner for Governor Branstad. And I can tell you, he's absolutely right. She has extraordinary energy and great ideas, and she's somebody who I think Iowans all across the state look up to. Because, again, she's someone who is doing the job every day. Not looking for fanfare, not looking for the limelight, not looking to be the star of the show, looking to get the job done. And that's the kind of partner you want when you're a governor. And so Governor Branstad picked really wisely 4 years ago. And there's no reason to change a winning team when you're in the middle of a great winning streak, which is what I was in the middle of. So please give as much support to Lieutenant Governor Reynolds as you give to Governor Branstad. She's earned it, and she's great. Now here we are, we're in Scott County. Now, you know, I probably shouldn't say this, but when I was walking in, Branstad said, this is the best county. This is just incredible. These guys, I never lose in Scott County. I never lose in Scott County. These are really good supporters of our party. And so, for all of you who are here tonight, I turned to the chair while Governor Branstad was talking and said, this is such an amazing turnout in the middle of July. For you all to be here, to be supporting this team and this ticket in the middle of July when you can be doing lots of other things, it is incredibly impressive for me to see all of you out here. And so I can tell you that we're working just as hard all across the country to give the same kind of support that you're all giving to Terry right here in Iowa, to all the other Republican governors and the folks who want to be Republican governors. And we're going to do great things. We've got 29 Republican governors now, and as Terry said, I'm going to be to 14 states in July and August alone. I've been to 19 states between December and June, and we're going to go all across the country raising money, campaigning, and speaking to folks about why it makes a difference to have a Republican governor in your state house rather than one of the other party. Of the 20 best performing states on the economy in the country, 19 of them have Republican governors. That is not a coincidence, everybody. And And so now I've got a job to do, not just to be the governor of New Jersey, but also to be the person who tries to lead this group of governors to bigger and better things. And when I get to leave my state, as I'm doing today, and I get to come to a place where, here in Iowa, you have a Republican House of Representatives, I must say that it brings out a bad side of me. I get terribly envious. Green with envy, in fact, because I have an all-Democratic legislature. And as Governor Branstad mentioned, I've had an all-Democratic legislature since the day I walked in. And while we get things done, and I've worked real hard, and it's the governor's job to work with whoever the people send you, although I do tell people in New Jersey they have an extraordinary sense of humor. Extraordinary. Twice now, they've elected a conservative Republican governor. At the very same time, elected a liberal Democratic legislature. New Jerseyans are like the 13-year-old boys in the basement doing a science experiment. They said, let's mix these two things together and see what happens. Well, we've had some explosions every once in a while. We've had some real conflict between us, but we've also gotten things done. See, because the difference is when you have an effective governor, when you have someone who understands what it means to try to work hard and work productively for the people, you don't use those things as excuses. Governor Branstad's had a split legislature here. Earlier in his tenure, he had an all-Democratic legislature. You never heard Terry Branstad use it as an excuse. There's, I can't get anything done because of the legislature the people have sent me. That's not the way you do business. The way you do business is whoever you send me, it's our job to make things happen. And so in New Jersey, even despite those things, despite all the vetoes, and he's right, my first 2 years as governor, I set a record for vetoes for a 2-year period since our new Constitution was instituted in 1947. And then the 2 years after that, I broke the record for the first 2 years. And in the next 2 years that I'm in now, on the pace I'm on, we're going to break another record. So you sometimes as governor have to say no. Someone asked me if I'm staying in Iowa tonight. I said, listen, part of my legislature was in town today without me there. They are not allowed in the State House without adult supervision. I have to get home. So as much as I'd love to stay here tonight, I gotta get home and make sure that I'm in the State House tomorrow to see what the heck they were up to today. But also, we've been able to cap property taxes in our state. We have 6,000 fewer employees on the New Jersey state payroll today than we did when I got into office in January of 2010. We are spending $2.2 billion less today than we did in fiscal year 2008 on everything but our pensions and health care. We have squeezed government to become smaller and smarter and more efficient. It's the conservative principles that we all stand for, whether we are Republicans who live in New Jersey or in Iowa, whether we live in Florida or Georgia, whether we live in Ohio or Michigan or Wisconsin. We all stand for those things. And those are the principles that unite us as a party and that we have to continue to have unite us as a party. Because believe me, whatever differences we may have every once in a while inside our own party, whatever good arguments we may have amongst each other, they are very small compared to the differences that we have with the other side. Just remember, back to 4 years ago with Governor Culver sitting in the Capitol, and how much different Iowa feels today than it felt 4 years ago. So, you've sat here through a lot of speeches and a top 10 list. So I'm not going to wear you out tonight, but I do want to say one more thing to all of you and leave you with something to think about. Because here in this room, all these folks, all of you, are people who are already on the team. You wouldn't be here tonight if you weren't on the team. You wouldn't be here tonight if you weren't willing to stand up for the people on our Republican ticket here in Iowa and do a great job for them. And some people would say that what I am doing tonight by exhorting you is preaching to the choir. I talked about this earlier today in Iowa. I'm married to a woman who's number 9 of 10 children. She has 6 older brothers and 2 older sisters and a younger sister. See, it's a small Irish Catholic family from the Northeast. And what it means is when I got married into that family, I have relatives everywhere in America. Aunts, uncles, first cousins, second cousins twice removed. We got them all. They're everywhere. And one place where we have relatives in Albany, New York. And I went up to visit my brother-in-law and sister-in-law a number of years ago in Albany, New York. And you know, Mary Pat and I are Catholics. My sister-in-law is a Lutheran, and they go to Lutheran services. So she asked if we would go. So we went with them. And I heard the best explanation that day from the pastor that I've ever heard about preaching to the choir. Because tonight I'm here preaching to the choir. And we have this kind of popular sentiment about that phrase, that that's wasting your time. He's just preaching to the choir. But this pastor explained it that day. He said, I preach to the choir. I plead guilty to preaching to the choir. I preach to the choir every Sunday. He said, I preach to the choir, so we'll sing. And for the first time, I really understood the power of preaching to the choir. See, because all of you are part of the choir for the Republican team in this state. And I'm here to preach to the choir so you'll sing. So you'll sing to your family and your friends. So you'll sing to your neighbors and your coworkers. So you'll sing to the people that you see in the parking lot at church on Sunday. So you'll sing to the people you see on the football fields this fall, on Friday night or Saturday afternoon. So you'll sing to the people you see in the supermarket checkout line, every place you go. That you'll tell people that you're amongst the leaders in this state who will be able to look at others and say, I've met the governor. I've met the lieutenant governor. I've looked him in the eye. I've taken the measure of their character. And I'm not only voting for them, I'm working for them. 110 days to go. And the results of this election about whether we're going to expand Republican gains in the House, whether we're going to take over the state Senate for the Republicans here in Iowa, whether we're going to elect a Republican woman to the United States Senate and give us a Republican majority in Washington, D.C., whether we're going to elect a new Republican female congresswoman from right in this district. I have to tell you the truth, at this point, given everything I've seen, it's not up to the governor, it's not up to the lieutenant governor. It's not up to these individual candidates. They're going to work hard, you know they are. I mean, I am so tired of hearing how hard working Branstad is, I got to tell you the truth. Every stop today, we've done 5 stops, hardest working governor in America. I get it, man, I hear it, I know. Hardest working governor in America. So he's not going to let up now. He's going to work hard. Kim's going to work hard. All the candidates are going to work hard. How about you? How about you? 110 days to go. There are 2 scenarios that I'm going to lay out for you, because I'm from New Jersey. And we're an hour ahead, so I can see into the future. Here's the thing. I can see into the future, 2 different scenarios. Scenario number 1, you wake up on the morning of November 5th, and we come just a little bit short. We're 1 seat short in the state Senate. We don't expand our margins in the House. We don't have a new Republican United States Senator from Iowa. We don't have new Republican members of the House of Representatives in Washington, because we came just a little bit short. And think about how you'll feel that morning when you wake up. Maybe the clock radio wakes you up and you hear the news being reported about the slim losses by Republicans in Iowa. Do you want to lay there and think to yourself, if I'd only done a little bit more, if I only put aside some of my personal pursuits for that 110 days and put my state first, put my country first, just for 110 days, if I'd done that, maybe we would have had a different result. And Governor Branstad would have had a legislature who would have been moving fully in the direction of his vision for Iowa's future. Maybe we would have a Republican United States Senate and a bigger majority in the House of Representatives that would pressure the President of the United States to finally start leading and acting in this country and not being a bystander in the Oval Office. But we didn't do it. We came up short. We'll have that feeling of regret and those pangs of guilt. Scenario number 2 is much better. You wake up on November 5th, the clock radio goes off, you're hearing the news reports, and we're talking about a new female Republican United States Senator who is the difference in a Republican majority in the United States Senate. A new state Senate that's controlled by Republicans in Iowa. A bigger House majority in Iowa. A bigger House Republican majority in Washington. And you're going to know you did it. You're going to know you did it. It wasn't the 30-second TV ads, as nice as they are. It wasn't the mail in the mailbox. It was you. Because you are still the most powerful force in American politics. You, talking to friends and neighbors and others who look to you as a leader. You're still the most important force in politics. And you know what? I suspect Iowa understands that better than almost any other state in America. You get the fact that you're the ones who can make a difference. So let's not fall short. Let's not wake up under scenario number one with pangs of guilt and regret. Let's wake up after a joyful, celebratory evening on November 4th, where we have now set a record for the longest and best-serving governor in the history of America, and his Republican team showing the rest of America what strong conservative Republican leadership can do to turn our entire country around. Because when we get done on November 4th of 2014, we will all turn our eyes towards 2016 and taking our country back. But first things first, everybody. I'll end with one of my favorite quotes from one of the great leaders in the history of this country. He was a really blunt, direct, outspoken guy. So you can't imagine why I might like him. He's one of the founding fathers, John Adams. As he was nearing death, near the 50th anniversary of the country that he helped to birth, he was concerned that America was moving in the wrong direction. Concerned like many of us are today about our country. He was older and weaker and living up at his farm and didn't have the energy any longer to be able to travel to the nation's capital and speak out. So he wrote for us in his diary, in his dying days. And I think it applies to what I've just been urging all of you to do. His advice is very similar to the advice I just gave you. He gave it to all of us. He wrote this in his diary to his fellow countrymen. He said, "You shall never know the sacrifices that we made to secure for you your liberty. I pray you will make a good use of it. For if you do not, I shall repent in heaven for ever having made the sacrifice at all." John Adams understood how precious liberty was because he watched people fight and die for it. He birthed a country that has produced the greatest economy, the greatest military, and the most compassionate people the world has ever seen. And he would say to us, if we let this opportunity go by, that we didn't truly appreciate the price that has been paid for the liberty that we enjoy. He would want us to work to make sure we expand that liberty and that freedom for everybody. Not just for us, but for the next generations. So if we do what we need to do over the next 110 days, I can guarantee you I will. I will travel to every corner of this country to get this message out there and to get Republican governors reelected and elected. And if you do what you need to do inside Iowa in the next 110 days, two great things will happen. Iowa will have a better and brighter tomorrow for your children and grandchildren. And John Adams will not have to repent in heaven for having made the sacrifice of giving us the liberty that we exercise here every day. So thanks for inviting me here today. We have had a full day across this entire great state with the governor and the lieutenant governor. I have enjoyed every minute of it. Get these folks from the press who follow me around asking me, "Do people in Iowa love you, Governor?" And you know, and I say, heck, I don't know, we just met. But the early indications are good. The early indications are good, and I will tell you that I feel so wonderful coming here. I've been here for Governor Branstad, I've been here for Governor Romney, and every time I've come to Iowa, I've been greeted so warmly and so kindly by all of you. And it makes me feel really good to be able to get on the airplane and go home tonight, knowing that I made a lot of new friends and hoping that I did just a little bit to make victory on November 4th for people that I care deeply about, like Terry, a little bit more possible. So let's not let up. Let's work as hard as we can the next 110 days, and I'll see you back here in Iowa really soon. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Thank you, Governor Branstad. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Reynolds.